No, it's not. This isn't calling for the killing of Jews.
I don't know that person, and I don't know that sign. So
you don't know what this means?
I don't think...
You haven't seen this before? Did you see these protests on Rabbi, do you know what this means?
Yes, it's a call for the destruction of the state of Israel and probably the killing of Jews everywhere.
Will you condemn this right here? Right here. Long live the Intifada. Will you condemn that?
Condemning Jewish students on a campus is being targeted, and the Office of Civil Rights should successfully be given funding.
Will you condemn this as hate speech?
I think that can be hate speech, but I don't think it's automatically hate speech. The problem is that there's nuance I'm trying to introduce to this conversation.
What's the nuance when these people are marching and calling for Jews to be killed?
Welcome back to MAGA Capital, where we say the quiet part out loud, where we speak truth to the radical mob, and where we defend America's values without apology. Before we go any further, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a moment of real, patriotic truth. Now let's get straight into what went down in the Senate. Senator Josh Hawley, one of the few members of Congress with a backbone, absolutely grilled a so-called human rights advocate who testified before Congress about the recent pro-Palestinian protests happening on college campuses. This wasn't a simple policy discussion. This was a full-blown moral showdown. This witness had the gall to describe the campus protests, the very same ones that erupted after the October 7 terrorist massacre of Israelis, as a national organic human rights movement. Let me repeat that, a human rights movement. These protests included chants of "Long live the Intifada," "Glory to our martyrs," and "From the river to the sea," which we all know are thinly veiled calls for the destruction of Israel and, yes, the murder of Jews. Hawley asked a basic question. Is that what we're calling human rights now? Celebrating martyrs who blow themselves up in cafes? Chanting slogans that have been used by terrorists to justify bloodshed? Projecting anti-Semitic propaganda on university walls right after the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust? And what did the witness say? She danced around it. She called the phrases ambiguous. She said we needed to understand nuance. She couldn't even bring herself to say, clearly and decisively, that these slogans are hate speech. She wanted to redefine and reframe slogans used by Hamas sympathizers as somehow maybe not being that bad, depending on the context. Let's watch the full Senate hearing, and I'll be giving my full response and reaction afterwards.
Thank you very much, Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Berry, let me just start with you. You said in response to a question from, I think it was Senator Graham, you praised the protests going on campuses. I just want to make sure I got this right, so you correct me now, as a national organic human rights movement. What did you mean by that?
The mass movement in support of Palestinian human rights is happening on college campuses across the country after students are learning more about the history of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and the specific targeting of Palestinian human rights. Yes.
Oh, okay. I just want to be clear about what you're praising and not praising.
Well, praising.
Let's have a look here. So,
yeah.
This long live the Intifada.
Yeah.
Is this an example of the what did you say, national organic human rights movement that you mean? Is this a human rights movement?
I'm not sure that using the term Intifada, which literally just means to like shake off or get rid of, is effective, as most Americans don't actually associate it with a human rights issue. So I don't think that's effective. No, Senator?
Wait a minute. You don't think it's effective, but you would agree that this is calling for the destruction of the state of Israel. This is after the October.
No, Senator.
No, it's not. This isn't calling for the killing of Jews.
I don't know that person, and I don't know that sign. So
you don't know what this means?
I don't think...
You haven't seen this before? Did you see these protests on Rabbi, do you know what this means?
Yes, it's a call for the destruction of the state of Israel and probably the killing of Jews everywhere.
I do not agree with that, Senator.
You don't think that's hate speech right here?
Long live the Intifada can mean different. As I see the problem,
it can mean different things. Wait a minute. These are protests, violent protests on campuses that targeted Jewish students, attacked them personally, prevented them from going to camp, going to class, put them in fear of their safety after the October 7th attacks on the state of Israel that murdered more Jews than at any time since the Holocaust. And you're saying you think that this is an ambiguous message?
I'm saying that any student targeted on campus, a Jewish student...
Will you condemn this right here? Right here. Long live the Intifada. Will you condemn that?
Condemning Jewish students on a campus is being targeted, and the Office of Civil Rights should successfully be given funding.
Will you condemn this as hate speech?
I think that can be hate speech, but I don't think it's automatically hate speech. The problem is that there's nuance I'm trying to introduce to this conversation.
What's the nuance when these people
Because
are marching and
long
calling
live
for
Intifada,
Jews to be
because-
killed?
Sir, because long Intifada also means uprising for Palestinians. The way to get
Oh,
rid
so
of,
it's ambiguous, so it's hard to say. Well, my gosh. Okay, let's try another one. What about this?
Please, audience will please,
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's fine. We know what you think. Right, exactly. I mean, I think you've made it clear. Those who were cheering earlier when Senator Cruz was asking about the attempts to destroy and kill Jews. Let's just be clear about what's going on here, because here's what's happening at this hearing. We can't talk about anti-Semitism without also talking about something else. The message that's being sent today at this hearing today is anti-Semitism isn't enough. The attempts to kill Jews on campuses, that's not a conversation worthy of discussion. You've got to add something else to it. So if you want to kill Jews, oh, well, we can't talk about that unless we also talk about 15 other things. And now we have a witness sitting here who will not condemn the attempts on these campuses that are blatantly anti-Semitic tropes, Nazi tropes to try and kill Jews. What about this one? There's only one solution. Is that a national organic human rights movement?
no, sir, I trust that's in reference to Holocaust, and that's
I would think
utterly
the final
reprehensible.
solution. Okay, what about
Utterly
this? What about this?
But
Glory to our martyrs.
again, I don't understand the point of messaging like that. I don't know what that means.
Would
All
you
I'm-
condemn this as anti-Semitic? This was projected here in Washington, D.C., on the campus, in front of Jewish students following the October 7th massacre.
I think that that is not appropriate speech at a time.
It was hate speech in the context, don't you think?
Sure, but the point is I would prefer to focus on the issue of hate crime. That's the reason I'm saying that.
This is a hate crime. When you threaten to kill Jews and
That's a hate
destroy
crime.
the state of Israel,
No.
that's hate speech.
No, threatening
That's
to
a
kill,
hate crime.
Threatening to kill anyone, including Jews, is
Yeah, let's
a hate
not
crime that's
pretend that it's
prosecutable.
ambivalent or ambiguous or we're not sure. How about this one? Free Palestine from the river to the sea.
That's not hate speech, sir.
You don't think that this is a call for the destruction of the state of Israel?
Again, I can speak to what I think, which is amazing because I'd love to talk about what I think, but I really think the focus of our hearing
You don't
should
think
be
that
the
after
growing
the
problem
October
of hate
7th
crime.
attacks, when this was projected in front of a group of Jewish students right here in the District of Columbia, you don't think that's an attempt to intimidate them and call for the destruction of the state of Israel?
Focusing on hate crime, I would say if
Just
that
yes or
were
no?
displayed on a synagogue, then it's a hate crime. If it was displayed on a Hillel, then it's a hate crime. If it's displayed elsewhere, I trust its speech.
Well, and then we wonder why our students are confused. Rabbi, let me just ask you, are you confused about this message?
I'm not confused, and I'll add that even if it was ambiguous and could mean different things to different people, Senator, can you imagine if there was a phrase that also meant kill all the black people? Would we be okay with projecting it because it might also mean something else to someone else?
No, I mean, well said, well said. I'm almost done, Mr. Chairman, but let me just ask, since the witness talked about a national human rights movement, let me just ask about a couple others. University of North Carolina chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine claimed, it is our moral obligation to be in solidarity with the dispossessed, no matter the pathway to liberation they choose to take. This includes violence. Would you condemn that?
I'm sorry, was that for me?
Yes. It is our moral obligation to be in solidarity with the dispossessed, no matter the pathway to liberation they choose to take. This includes violence. You condemn that?
I certainly condemn violence.
Good. You condemn that statement?
I condemn violence. I have no interest in engaging in this back and forth about individual statements of students.
You know what? I do have an interest in it, and here's why.
Senator,
what I just
your
read to
time
you,
has
the
expired.
United States Senate unanimously condemned this rhetoric. And unless we take a stand now on this rhetoric, on this specific rhetoric out of the mouths of these students that you have called National Organic Human Rights Movement protesters, we are going to send the message that trying to kill Jews on campus, trying to prevent Jews from going to class on campus is just okay. It's just another viewpoint.
Senator,
It's
your
not
time
is
just
expired.
another viewpoint. And
Never
frankly, what
okay.
you're trying to do here
Senator,
today, I
your
think
time
is
has
wrong.
expired.
Deeply wrong, sir.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr.
Let me tell you something, folks. There is no nuance when you say from the river to the sea. That slogan isn't a debate topic. It's a call to wipe Israel off the map. And there is no ambiguity when someone shouts, "Long live the Intifada," right after Jewish students have been assaulted on American campuses. That's not student activism. That's hate. That's terrorism in ideological form. And here's where Senator Hawley nailed it. He said what every decent American is thinking. If we can't condemn this now, If we're too politically correct, too terrified of the woke mob, too invested in identity politics to say that calling for Jewish genocide is wrong, then we are morally bankrupt as a nation. He didn't stop there. He read from a Students for Justice in Palestine statement that said, "It is our moral obligation to support the dispossessed no matter what path to liberation they choose, including violence." That's not resistance. That's radicalism. And yet the witness refused to condemn it. This hearing showed us the rot that's taken over our universities and elite institutions. They talk about equity and inclusion, but when Jewish students are hunted down on campus, when they're chased out of libraries, when mobs chant for their death, suddenly it's all nuance and free speech. Let me be clear. Free speech ends where violent incitement begins. You don't get to call for genocide and hide behind the First Amendment. And the fact that anyone sitting in Congress had to beg a witness to condemn this should infuriate every American. This isn't about foreign policy. This is about moral clarity. Either you believe in basic human decency or you don't. And what we saw in that hearing was a horrifying revelation. The radical left and their enablers are fine with hate as long as it's directed at the right targets, in this case, Jews. It's disgusting and it's dangerous. This is what happens when we let DEI ideology rot our institutions. When we let anti-American and anti-Semitic propaganda infiltrate our schools. When we let our enemies define human rights as anything that hurts the West. So here's the bottom line. We need to shut this nonsense down. Pull the funding from every university that lets terrorist slogans be shouted on campus. Defund any group that refuses to condemn terrorism. And we need leaders like Senator Hawley to keep holding the line and calling out this insanity. If you're proud to stand with Israel, proud to call out anti-Semitism, and proud to defend truth, then this is your fight. Hit that like button. Subscribe to MAGA Capital. Share this video far and wide. The battle for truth isn't coming. It's here.